The Japanese have a concept I'm interested in about a meaningful life that they call Ikigai, that means they recognize that it's possible to live without a meaningful life. Michael Mead points out what he calls the first agreement and second agreement. The first agreement is the agreement the soul has made to come to this world and live a real, purposeful, meaningful life. And the second agreement is an agreement to come and survive on planet Earth in a body and to do the things that the earthly body needs to do, to eat, to work, to reproduce, to have a social being, and to have some sense of identity. At a certain point, even if we forget, and we almost always do forget, that we have that double bind situation in our life, we we have to go through some kind of process to find that first agreement and to even realize we have a first agreement, that there's something in us that you could call a soul purpose that wants to come into life and flower. It wants to flourish, it wants to be developed, but it needs us to care about it, to recognize it, and to figure out how to put it into the world, how to embody it in ourselves. This is a pretty complex project to come into life and have these first and second agreements that actually conflict with each other most of the time and work it out. And it's very difficult to do without having time to do it. Also, in our culture, in the Western world, we don't even recognize the first agreement. We basically think life is all about survival and how well you do it. So we can admire people just because they make a lot of money. We can admire them because they're successful on a material level, even if they're brain dead, even if they're idiots, even if they have one tiny little business skill they can do, or even if they cheat, and a lot of them do. We have one in the White House. So our values are upside down, is my point. The, what we actually need to teach our children is you do have a first agreement, and it's fine to go ahead and work to establish yourself in the world, put your roots down, and become stable. But remember, you have something else in you that needs to be developed. And it's not a bad thing to start thinking about that early. So that has implications. That has implications for our educational system. That has implications for families and how they raise their children. Most parents are just rushing from pillar to post and unable to keep up because we have created a system that puts a ridiculous amount of pressure on people just to survive. And it's not even necessary. In American society, it's gotten to the point where the oligarchs are stealing from the working poor are becoming more and more poor. Their wages stagnate. They can't have decent living conditions. They never stop working. Americans are afraid to take a vacation. And so you reach old age and you haven't even paid 5 minutes attention to the first agreement. This is why a lot of people on their deathbed say, I wish I had done something else. I don't feel like I really lived because that first agreement was forgotten and not addressed. So it's something we have to think about. It's something that some people may show up in our society and point it out, and only the people that are not so browbeaten and in such a rush that they can't even stop and consider ideas like that, who will actually consider it. And probably that's going to be a young person before they've taken on so many responsibilities they can hardly breathe. So that's why I think our educational system should talk to kids about what it is they really find fascinating, what it is they really just naturally love, what it is, what is it that they would do if they didn't have to think about family, money, anything else. What would they do? And actually consider it, because there may be practical ways to actually commit to a life like that. And when you're actually living your first agreement, your real purpose in life, you can be yourself. You can actually live your real life. And you're not going to say on your deathbed, you didn't do what you loved to do. Something to think about.